USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and Auto Camp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Gatorade is the #1 proven electrolyte blend designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and raise your game. Gatorade, is it in you?
Hello and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. We are so excited to bring you this show.
Our podcast is all about unraveling all of your favorite mysteries from the Assassin's Creed games. Each episode will be talking about a different topic in the Assassin's Creed universe. From Pieces of Eden, solar flares, and the Isu, to the Hidden Ones, the Order of Ancients, and of course, the Animus, we will seek to uncover it all.
So join us and maybe even take a leap of faith.
And welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. My name is Shelby. You also know me as She-Cup, and we are back with another patron chat. But before we get into it, it's time for my co-host to introduce himself.
Hey, I am Austin, also known as Teacup.
That you are, and we are joined here by one of our patrons, Sir Sits-A-Lot.
How's it going, guys? Sorry, Austin has a blanket or something over his head, trying to look like an assassin, and it's really funny.
Yeah, it is a not just a blanket, and it's not just a Snuggie. It is like a fully enclosed Snuggie, like a cape blanket, literally.
And it's
that
like
he bought on
purple.
Amazon.
It's bright purple,
like lavender,
like
neon,
like the worst Sith Lord ever.
The most obnoxious Sith you've ever imagined come to life in Austin. Teacup over here. So that's how we're starting this episode. But before we dive in, let's talk about our topic. So our topic is, actually, let me back up, because our topic today fits perfectly with our new season. And as you may know, if you listened to our first episode last week, our new season is all about looking at historical figures and historical characters and whether or not they are part of the Assassins or the Templars, or which side they would be on. Some of them that we'll talk about this season are affiliated with one or the other, but most of them are more ambiguous. They either work with one side, work with the other side, whatever. So today's patron chat topic is all about what historical figures do you want to see coming into this game? You can kind of come up with it as like completely new games. Like, okay, if we had an India game, this character would fit in perfectly. Or we could kind of come at it from like, okay, any of these previous games, these characters would have fit in well in these stories. So either way you want to look at it, both are totally open. Or if you have some other idea that I have neglected to mention, that's also cool. So I know that Sir Sits-a-Lot has a longer list than me or Austin. So why don't you go first? And we can just kind of alternate.
All right. Well, I have a long list, but I have top three that I want to go over. So if we have time for the other ones, fine. If not, that's fine. First one I kind of want to go over is because I'm sure a lot of people know about Hamilton, and I feel like in Assassin's Creed 3, Connor pretty much takes the role of Hamilton, but I really wish that Hamilton had been in 3. I mean, I feel like if that game had been made after Hamilton came out, he definitely would have been there. Like, he kind of takes the place of Hamilton in some respects. Like, he's friends with, his name is escaping me right now, but he's friends with Lafayette, right? Connor is, and yeah, that's the first one I have. Because when Hamilton first came out on Disney Plus, I was really big into it. So I was like, he's not in any of the games. Like, he's not even mentioned.
He is. Hamilton is a really good musical. I definitely have to plug that. We saw it live. It was awesome. And I do feel like there are quite a few Revolutionary War figures who are not mentioned in that game. So there could be potential for maybe they're on some other, Assassins or Templar plot, and that's why they're not in the game.
I do agree that it is strange that Hamilton wasn't in there, but like also like Benedict Arnold wasn't in there unless you played his DLC.
Right. That was like 5 missions and that was it.
Yeah. Which he plays another big role, and like Henry Knox and all these other people who are very much like big in the Revolutionary War. And I also found it interesting, like with 3, that Ben Franklin played a larger role in Rogue than he did in 3.
Well, I feel like when they were making the game, they probably were like, all right, here are the characters from the Revolutionary War that everybody knows by name. And until the musical came out, Hamilton wasn't really that well known, which is pretty much the reason why Lin-Manuel Miranda made it, because he is one of the forefathers of America. So I feel like that's what they weren't really trying to exclude anybody, but they're just trying to get here's the main points that people for the most part know.
I think for me, my first one that we'll do, and then Shelby can go, would be like, so we get Da Vinci, who is like this big inventor and like artist, is very like creative thinker. And we get in Assassin's Creed, we get a lot of political leaders. We get a lot of like movement leaders, revolution leaders, which makes sense. But I think it would be cool to have more influence in like these like more pop culture-esque influences, knowing throughout, like, I would like to see like these people who are in the employ of the king, like Mozart, Beethoven, these other musicians that come into that. I think it would be really cool to see them into the games.
Yeah, I have Beethoven on my list, actually.
Oh, awesome.
I thought about adding Michelangelo to my list. But yeah, I agree with that one. That one's a good one. So my first number one person on my list is I feel like it's pretty obscure, but like kind of an important person. So Sun Tzu. If you've seen The Sopranos, this is who Paulie refers to as Sun Tzu the whole show. He wrote the book The Art of War, and is kind of like a very famous book. But he lived in like the 500s BCE, so this would be super super way back in time. But Sun Tzu is like a pretty important person in the realm of military strategy in like Chinese history. So like he was a general, a philosopher, writer, all this kind of stuff. So very famous in history. I feel like obviously we're getting this Japan game. And I think the Chronicles game, there was a Chronicles game set in China. But it could be an interesting time period to explore. Not sure how it would fit into the lore, but I think Sun Tzu would be an interesting person to go back to.
It would be interesting, especially to come into like, because we know that the Chinese Brotherhood at least in the old lore, before they decided to make this game and if they decided to retcon. But the Chinese Brotherhood sets up the Japanese Brotherhood. Like they go over there and set during the Sengoku period and set up the Japanese Brotherhood. So it would be really interesting to see if like the teachings of Sun Tzu in, 1,000 years later, no, 2,000 years later, it would be interesting to see like, is this incorporated in the larger like East Asian culture the way it is in China?
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think you can say the same for Confucius too, because I feel like with both of them, there's so much of their teachings that influence just like life in those areas. So I would be curious to see, now that we're starting to explore Japan and maybe we'll see more of China too, are there parts of both Confucius and Sun Tzu's teachings that kind of just infiltrate the brotherhoods? Sir Sitz, do you want to go again?
All right. So like I said before, Beethoven was my number 3. So I'm gonna go, but I'm not there yet. Number 2. I chose Mansa Musa, who was the richest man in the world when he was alive. He reigned from 1312 to 1337, and he was so rich that when he would go visit other places, he would crash their economy because he would just had so much money and he would just, I guess, buy everything. He lived in the Mali Empire. I don't really know too much about him, to be honest, but what I do know is from Epigraph Files of History. But he was very interesting character. I just would like to see, because if with somebody that rich, the Templars or somebody, I guess it might have been Order of Ancients maybe at that point, would want something to do with him. He was so powerful and had so much money and influence. I don't know if you guys know that much about him either.
I love that answer because it's the perfect answer, because it's someone who's super obscure for most people, but is an important, obviously very important historical character. And it very easily could be added because that's a part of the world, Mali, that we really haven't explored yet in the games. So I love that. I hope that Ubisoft is listening right now. And if they are listening and take that, maybe they'll cut you a check. That would be best case scenario here. Love that answer.
In the very low chance that happens, I'll share the wealth with you guys.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So for my second one, I need to ask Shelby if this is allowed. I have 2 listed, but they're related to each other. Like not like family related, like they are related like to each other in history. Like they have, one has a direct influence on the other in history.
Just go with both of them. Use it as one answer. Okay. That's fine. Just come up with more before the next time you go around.
This would be telling, but I would love a game set during the Protestant Reformation, which we do kind of get that with Ezio, but we don't really get like a lot of like what's happening in the Protestant Reformation in Ezio's timeline because he's not really in areas where it's heavily involved. But for the 2 historical characters, obviously the first one is Martin Luther for obvious examples because he kicks off the whole thing. But I would want the game, if there was a game, I would want the game to start with the execution of John Wycliffe. And for those of you who might not know, Shelby is shaking her head because this is like seminary trained theology nerd deep. This is a deep cut.
Yeah, you massive fucking nerd is what I'm thinking right now.
So for those of you who don't know history, John Wycliffe was an English theologian, philosopher, who is the reason we have an English Bible. He gets the ball rolling on translating what's called, the fancy word is called the Vulgate, which is the Latin translation of the Bible. So he gets the ball rolling for King James to come on later and do the King James version of the Bible. But he has the same ideas as Martin Luther. He has the same like philosophical ideas, the same things, the same problems with the Catholic Church that Martin Luther does. He just doesn't have the backing to do so, and he is executed by the Catholic Church in England in 1384. And so I think that would be really cool to like see this. Like he's not really well known, but he really is like a major predecessor to the Protestant Reformation. And so I think that would be cool. That's just my personal opinion.
I do think it would be cool to have a game where, and this can work for multiple different wars and events, but I think it would be cool to have a game where like you follow the uprising, right? Like you follow what's starting the wars, like these predecessor issues that then build and get bigger and get bigger. And then the game kind of ends with the exploding of the war, right? Like you could, in your example, beginning with this execution of Jan Hus or John Wycliffe, whomever, and then continuing on, building up all of these religious issues. And then the game kind of ends with Martin Luther getting expelled or him nailing his theses to the Catholic Church. Like that would be a cool subversion of like, oh, well, we're of the expectation that, okay, we're just going to follow the Protestant Reformation and like we kind of can check the boxes. Same thing with a World War II, like following the leading up or taking a different angle that is lesser known. Like, you know, maybe following the African campaign in World War II instead of the European. But I do like that idea, Austin. I just think it's a little, I do think it's unlikely, unfortunately.
Right. And I can see the mission where your character has to defend him as he's nailing it to the church.
Oh my gosh!
The Templars are coming toward him.
That would be so good.
You have to fight him off. He has to make it in time.
It would be
that would be awesome.
Yeah. And we did kind of get a situation like that with like the opening of Assassin's Creed Unity. You take place during the basically the destruction of the Templar Order in France. That's where you begin, and then like it shows like that plays a direct role in the French Revolution era, and so they've done it before. It would be a good like educational. I think they try to stay away from those big like Christian history moments just because there's a lot of emotion around them. But I think it would be cool. There's a lot going on in Europe at this point, and it's a breakaway from the Catholic Church and the power of Rome and all of that. And it would be really interesting to see that.
So my next one is, so this one is a person that is tangentially in Assassin's Creed. So you can find like a weapon of hers or something in Valhalla. But this person is named Boudica, and she's like a Germanic Viking-ish kind of figure who is a leader of a tribe in Britain, and it's during the Roman Empire, and she leads this like revolt against the Romans. And she's like known for being very fierce, being very fearsome, and she lived during like the late 60s AD. So this is also the same time as Jesus, or a little bit after Jesus. So that would be a really interesting time period to go back to, but just from a different perspective in Britain. Like I know we've seen that kind of time period in Origins before, but I feel like Boudica would be a really awesome perspective. And even though we've seen a lot of Britain so far in Assassin's Creed, we haven't seen Britain in this time period. So that would be really interesting, especially with like, yes, we saw a lot of Roman ruins and stuff in Valhalla, but we've never really seen the Roman Empire at its prime, I would say, even in Origins. Well, I don't know. Maybe we did in Origins, but it would just be interesting because anyway.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, we literally beat Julius Caesar in Origins.
Yeah. I had to rethink that real quick. But I do feel like they're struggling a little bit. Like it's not free and easy for them, you know what I mean? But anyway, I think Boudica would be an interesting character to meet in Assassin's Creed. I don't know who she would side with. I could see it going either way.
Do you want to take our mid break and then we could come back? And
Sounds good. All right, let's do it.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Alien Earth, the official podcast. Each week, host Adam Rogers is joined by guests, including the show's creator, cast, and crew, in this exclusive companion podcast. They will explore story elements, deep dive into character motivations, and offer an episode-by-episode behind-the-scenes breakdown of each terrifying chapter in this new series. Search FX's Alien Earth wherever you listen to podcasts.
Want to live better? We've got a lot of work to do. Join Chris Hemsworth in National Geographic's new Disney Plus original series, Limitless. Live better now.
I'm diving headfirst into cutting-edge science to uncover 3 powerful secrets to living better right now. The growth that occurs through any challenging experience is really what we seek.
Chris Hemsworth stars in Limitless. Live better now. Now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
It's showtime.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Ma cos'è? Shoot! Shoot a flying demon!
Quite a carriage you got there. Where did you buy it, if you don't mind me asking?
Ask all you want, Freddy. You'll never get an answer.
Damn it all. Was it my eyebrows?
Yes, and your face, voice, and body.
What have you done? We used them. They were not ready for firing. You could have gotten us all killed. Let me see. His breath is more fatal than our cannons. Only when you two fools are shooting them. There, try it.
Hello and welcome to the middle of the show. This is where we talk about all the things that have to do with the lore cast and not the lore of Assassin's Creed. So the first thing that we always do is thank all of our patrons. Thank you so much. We don't have anyone new to shout out this week, but if you want to join us and get your name read out, you can absolutely do that. If you want to join us and come on the next patron chat in August, absolutely make sure to do that. There are so many awesome rewards that you can get, and we'll be sending out merch in just a couple more months. So definitely check back in and make sure you get all of that. So the next thing that I have to shout out, if you can't support us financially, the next best way to do so is by leaving a rating or a review. You can now leave comments on any Spotify episode. Before, it was kind of known as a Q&A, but now they're comments. So they've made that's a kind of a big change. So you can comment on any of our episodes, leave us any kind of comment. And if we see it, you've left us a nice comment, we will read it out loud. I know there's not really a star rating or anything with a comment, but definitely just comment there and we will see it eventually. And I do have one to read today. It comes from Matt G, who commented on our original Animus episode and said, "Very cool podcast." Thank you so much for leaving that comment. And then the next thing I have to talk about is we've got merch at our merch shop. You can find the link in our bio to that. We've got all kinds of shirts and we've got mugs. And I think we have an Assassin's Creed hat. I know we've added a lot of new Dragon Age shirts because obviously there's a new Dragon Age game coming out, but we do have Assassin's Creed stuff too. We've got hoodies, we've got sweatshirts, we've got t-shirts. Austin's repping his t-shirt right now, even though you can't see it if you're listening to this, and you couldn't see it if you were live anyway because he's wearing his little blanket thing, but that's beside the point. You can also get a William Miles Hate Club t-shirt. So if you want that, if you want to be part of that, you can get that shirt. But there are lots of different ways to support us. And if you also just want to hang out with us and talk about Assassin's Creed, you can do so by hopping in our Discord server. And all of the links to all of the things that we do are in the episode description, from Discord to Patreon to merch to all the things. So check it out. And if you want to hang out with us, make sure to join the Discord. And I think we can get back into it.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Who says you can't be the topic of conversation for all the right reasons? The Hyundai Tucson Hybrid pairs bold presence with advanced technology and sleek style. It's everything you didn't know you needed in an SUV and then some. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more.
Malaka.
But that madman, the self-proclaimed Bishop of the Ruins, is our biggest critic. He calls our playing the devil's bagpipes.
I will sleep with anyone as long as they agree to be executed in the morning.
Like Xantivis.
He was well satisfied with his bargain. Who is this toothsome fellow?
My queen, this is,
Well,
It is a generous offer, but I've already pledged my life to this woman.
Aya, you have chosen well.
So I think we have time for maybe 2 more from each of us.
So we talked a little bit about Beethoven, so I'm not. But my next pick would be something with Al Capone. I think that'd be so freaking dope. Most people know what he's about, but he was an American gangster back in the 30s, something, 40s, something like that.
1925 to 1931 is when he was the boss.
I was kind of in the right place.
You were.
But
you were.
I feel like he would totally be a Templar. I don't know if he would be like a Templar, but he would definitely be like a Templar, like associate type thing. Because I feel like he wouldn't, unless he was like the top of the Templar order. I don't think he would do it. But I think he would really be maybe like a spy for them, or be like a patron to them, like give them money or whatever. But I just think that'd be really cool. Another American guy who most of these people I looked on the Assassin's Creed wiki and they don't even have a page. So I thought he would be really cool to have in a game.
Here, I find that so interesting because you saying he's a Templar, because I think the exact opposite, because this is how I see that time period playing out. The assassins use liquor distribution to fund their efforts because it's direct things in. Templars have control of Congress, have control of the government. They pass the Prohibition Amendment. And then the assassins have to go underground into speakeasies. And Al Capone is like similar to like the Thieves Guild that you have in Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood. And they're working with him, and then he gets out of hand and they have to take him down, whatever like that. But I think that would be really interesting, especially from like the speakeasy kind of route. But I also go back and forth because like the Prohibition movement is mainly like championed by women for a lot of reasons. And so I don't want to like demonize the Prohibition movement either.
But also I could very easily see Capone playing both sides of it and getting his money from both the assassins and the Templars, because that's really what it comes down to, is the money.
And I could totally see a mission where your character is the reason he gets arrested for tax evasion.
You find the tax documents.
Yeah, you're looking for something else, but then you're like, oh, here's this. This can get rid of this guy who's been pain in my butt for a little bit.
So my third historical character is Nat Turner. Nat Turner slave revolts. We've had a lot of like, as much as like, I don't feel like we've had a lot. We've only had one game set in America, except for 2 if you count Rogue. Black Flag is the Americas, so we'll count that too.
Liberation.
Oh yeah, Liberation
I was
too.
gonna say Liberation.
So we've had the most games set in America. And I get that, but I just think that I know we have Freedom Cry, which is good, but I just feel like, and maybe for good reason, we haven't really tackled the assassins and American slavery. And so I just think Nat Turner would be a good like segue in that. It would be really cool to like have to lead through like his rebellion and all kinds of stuff like that as part of it. And maybe you jump forward in time or whatever. But if you don't know, Nat Turner Slave Rebellion is not a happy story. It does not end in everyone hugging and singing "Kumbaya" by the fire. So it would be right up Assassin's Creed alley for tragic and rip your heart out. But I think that it would be really interesting to watch like the resistance and like the point of like freed both slaves, freed and like enslaved, and how they work within the assassin brotherhood and everything like that.
I get your point, Austin, of like, we've never had a game set during the Civil War. And I think we've even talked about that on a Patron chat before. And that may have even been your idea, Sir It's a lot. Like, we have never had a game set really focusing on that time period. I think Liberation comes the closest, but it's set in New Orleans, and that's not really the setting of the game. Yes, there is slavery in it. Yes, that is a big discussion in it, but like the Civil War has not broken out yet. And same is true for obviously both of the Revolutionary War games. So yeah, I get your point. I get what you're saying. My next one is Robin Hood. I feel like obviously he would be an assassin, like perfect candidate for an assassin. And even in Valhalla, I looked this up. There is Sherwood Forest, which is where he does his stuff, is in Valhalla. And it's as a callback to Robin Hood, even though the timing is a little bit off by like maybe 100 or 200 years. I feel like he would be a great candidate to add to the assassins if we ever go back to England.
I think there's a mystery that is like the like layer of the merry men or something like that.
I think you might be right. I didn't read the full page about him in Valhalla. But I know for sure the timing is not quite right.
No, because he comes back Robin Hood in most of the like stories is a veteran of the Third Crusade. So he would be the time of Assassin's Creed 1 and after.
Do you know who the king was? During Robin Hood's?
Richard Lionheart, which I think is Richard the First. And
yes, correct.
But Prince John, later to be King John, Shelby's rolling her eyes for obvious reasons, for something between the both of us. But anyway, he was regent over the time. And so like he was Richard Lionheart's little brother, and they hated him, and he raised taxes. Like all of that is actually true. The character of Robin Hood is more like myth, but like Richard Lionheart, King John, Prince John, like all those were real people. And like that's the like Nottingham Shire or whatever it is, that's Nottingham. Like when you think about all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would be a good, and even just like if it's a story or like some little thing, like it would just be really fun. But yeah,
I'm like debating between which ones I want to talk about. I think I'm going to go with Shaka Zulu, who was the king of the Zulu from 1816 to 1828. And he is kind of known as like a great general. And he was born to be a king, his eldest of many sons, but he was a bastard child, was sent away to live in another tribe. But then he came back and avenged somebody's death. Like I said, this is another. I'm not the biggest history buff, but I just thought he would be cool because he's very well known as a big general. He doesn't have to be in it for very long. Just like maybe your character goes up, maybe not against him, but like, hey, I gotta fight these guys. I need help. Let me lend some of your people. Let me some of your people, please.
Yeah, I do think that's another really good one. I had that one on my list too. And I feel like, Origins is the only game I think that we've really gone into the mainland of Africa. But I feel like yes, there are lots of places in the world where we still need to go, but I do feel like we need whatever another game set in another part of Africa, whether it's more of the Sahara or wherever. I don't know where the Zulu kingdom is, but yeah, I feel like we could definitely use another African game. South Africa is where Google says.
Very small in the map. Looking at a map right now, and it's this little. They're smaller, but it is very small. Near the southern tip.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to say a historical person, but it was more that I want this part of history in there in this specific thing. But to play the game, I have to say a historical person, and that is Dwight D. Eisenhower. But I want not when he is president. I want when he is a general in World War II, because I want to see the North African campaign. Because I feel like we know a lot about the U.S. campaign in Japan, the Pacific campaign, and then we know a lot about the European campaign and all of that. But we don't talk we talk about the African campaign and all that stuff. But what a lot of people don't know is that, we talk about that period of World War II and with the Jewish and the Holocaust, but there were other groups that were targeted by the Nazis. And one of them was the Arab groups that were in North Africa. And I just think it would be really cool to see that, and not like it wouldn't be cool to see the atrocities, but to see how the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood works within those communities and other things like that.
Okay, so I have something to say because this is one of the ones on my list too. A better person than Eisenhower would be Haile Selassie, he was the emperor of Ethiopia during this time. And so Italy invades Ethiopia during World War II. And it's very much like the third realm of World War II that people do not talk about. And I read this book about that part of the world during this time and learned so much. So if you are out there and you're like, I didn't even know Africa was part of World War II, you should look it up because there's so much history that I never would have known. But anyway, so Haile Selassie is the emperor of Ethiopia, and he's very popular. He even inspired the reggae religion, and so or whatever it is called, Rastafariism. Anyway, they worship him in that. So he has so much lore behind him, and it would be really interesting to follow him in his life, which also would go back to what I was saying about we need another African game. Lots of thoughts here.
Yeah, and I just really do think it is the part we always talk about Mussolini and the Italian, all that took place in North Africa. Italy was the one who went, they basically said, okay, Russia and then eventually Japan, you take the East, Germany will handle Europe, Italy, you go down south into Africa. But I just really think that it's an untapped potential. And I think it would be a really good way to tackle World War II in Assassin's Creed without falling into the same stories that we've all heard. And then you can do you can still do the big names and mention them like Patton and Eisenhower were both in the North African campaign. So those are big names that people know and other things like that.
And if you did World War II, you can also talk about Oppenheimer, Einstein. There are ways that you could bring in these things and not just be focused on the African campaign. But I think Sir Sitzelot is going to, before we wrap up, I think he wants to let us know the rest of his list in a quick fire round. So let's do it.
Lewis and Clark. I think it'd be cool to have Frederick Douglass. I have three kind of off the wall, kind of more recent characters. Jacques Cousteau, I think would be cool to have in a game. Also, I had Mother Teresa. I don't know what role she could play in a game, but I had one more that it's probably the worst that I don't even know why I wrote down. But I wrote George Lucas.
Yes,
but the only reason is because there was an episode of Legends of Tomorrow where they went back in time and met George Lucas, and it's a lot different. It's a lot different situation between that show and Assassin's Creed games. But I just thought it'd be funny to have George Lucas in there. Just the Assassins had something to do with Star Wars.
That would be awesome. I love it. I love that. Yeah. So, Ubisoft, if you're listening, hit us up if you want to use any of our ideas.
I only have one more thing in my list. If you want, Shelby.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
This is Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, which, if you don't know who they are, these people are the only people to ever have been convicted and executed under the Espionage Act in the 1950s. Yep. And so, like, this is height of Red Scare and all of that kind of stuff. And I just think that it would be really cool to see a time period that's not like a major conflict. Like, I know that during the Renaissance era, that's not a major conflict that is happening during the Ezio trilogy, but most of the Assassin's Creed games take place during a time of major conflict. And so I just think it would be really cool to see this in a way of like, no, it's not a major war. And like, yeah, Korea and all this stuff is going on, but like times at home are pretty okay. But we have these like subtle moments of people encroaching upon people's rights. And so seeing the Rosenbergs and how they get to where they were would be really cool.
I do have one more that I just thought of that I think would be really cool to see would be Bonnie and Clyde. I think maybe you could have a storyline with them that could be very fun. And then maybe it's the Templars that like they did something and the Templars had killed them. That's why they died like they did. Maybe they're not like for the assassins, but maybe they are. Maybe that's just how Abstergo and make them out to be the villains when they're actually like good guys or something.
Yeah, I think that's a good one too. I think honestly, I think we could sit here probably for another 3 hours or more talking about, historical figures are endless. So we've got to cut it off somewhere, but I do feel like there are so many more out there that we haven't thought of. And so if you're listening at home and you have any others that you want to comment, feel free to leave us a comment on Spotify. So with that, I think Sir Sits-A-Lot, it is time for you to plug any of the things you've got going on.
I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Sir Sits-A-Lot. Right now I'm playing Final Fantasy 16. I'm having a lot of fun with that. I also have the Assassin's Creed Chronology Project, which I have just rebooted, I guess you can say. All my old episodes are still up in a quote-unquote old playlist, and I'm starting a new playlist where I'm updating some stuff, actually has an intro this time, and I'm really excited to get back started into that, so that's all I got.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here as always. And thank you to all of you who are listening. We will see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. You can find us on Twitter at ACLorecast.
If you have any lore questions or topics to unpack, join our Cups Podcasting and More Discord server. It's the best place on the internet. You can also support us financially through our Patreon. Find us on patreon.com/Assassin's Creed Lorecast. The Assassin's Creed Lorecast is part of the Robots Radio Network. For more information about the Robots Radio Network, join the Discord server via the link in our episode's description.
If you enjoyed the show or learned something new today, please subscribe, leave us a review, and join the Patreon. And if you enjoyed our intro and outro music, make sure you give a big thank you to Pipeman Studios. Thank you, Pipeman. Thanks again for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. And always remember, Assassins, stay in the shadows to serve the light.
Hi, welcome to 3 Count Thoughts. Let me introduce the crew real quick.
Hi, I'm Maverick Stone.
I'm Romer.
And I am Jaxus. Join us as we talk all things wrestling. Each week, we'll take a topic from the wrestling world, knock it around a bit, and then go over the week in wrestling from a strictly fan perspective. We can be found on all major podcast catchers. We can also be found at 3 Count Thoughts on both YouTube and Twitter. Or you can send us an email using 3countthoughts@gmail.com. Okay, are you ready? Ring the bell.